and I came into cybersecurity as a pen tester, and social engineering was one of the parts of performing that work. In fact, if I can give a brief history, my first job when I was offered, I was told to perform a social engineering attack on an organization. And that was my interview, and I was able to break into the organization and steal passwords and personal identifiable information, take pictures, go into different levels of the office without being detected. People would look at me funny, but no one really took any action or tried to stop me. So I kind of pushed it to the limit, and I came to really love that part of security analysis, the social engineering part, because it was very invigorating. The adrenaline was extremely high, and the way it was done was just full of vigor. So I'm going to talk about social engineering and ransomware. Well, there's a lot. I'm sorry, there's someone talking in the background. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk about social engineering and ransomware. Although social engineering is a very broad topic, it involves many aspects of performing security analysis, but I chose ransomware because of time, and also because this is the biggest part of COVID-19 that has affected organizations, especially in the cybersecurity world. Ransomware is currently at a high rise right now, so I took it as a chance to explore it. So I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can move this. Okay, so what is social engineering? So over the years, there have been a number of attempts to provide a concrete definition of the term social engineering attacks in literature. It wasn't really properly defined. But according to Conte and Schmick, I also put sources in my presentation in case anyone wants to borrow. They define human hacking as an art of tricking people into disclosing their credentials and then using them to gain access to networks or accounts. So that is the best explanation I also agree with. You're tricking someone either through the phone, through email, or through physically to provide you with credentials which are sensitive. And this is a gold, that's a gold mine. We're mining that gold and we use it to gain access into areas that we're not allowed to. So there's 4 steps in performing a social engineering attack. The first one is doing a target research, or as we call it, the reconnaissance, recon, forming a relation with the target. This is where you find vulnerabilities in the target. So you sort of go to the place, or you do this social media recon where you look for a target whom you think is going to be easy to manipulate. And then you try and find the vulnerabilities. The third one is exploit the relation and formulate an attack. So you create a mode of how you do your operation. And also I put there going against your moral code, because if you say you are a very religious person and you know you're going to be lying, you're going to be doing a lot of lying and manipulation, you have to also look at it from a different point of view. One, you have to put your morals aside and approach it in an objective manner, because the organization has approached you and they're asking you to perform a security test. Basically, they're asking you to break into the organization to find holes that are vulnerable and attackers can use. So the way you're supposed to look at it is, I'm doing a good thing for this organization. And so at first it was really affecting my moral code, because I'll do cold calls. I'll call people and lie. And I'll ask myself, am I doing the right thing? But then I had to realize, what is the big picture I'm doing here? I'm performing a security analysis test. And 4, exit without leaving behind any traces. So I have 2 video examples I wanted us to start with, but I might just play the first one. And the second one will be in the presentation, which if anyone wants, I can provide. So we're going to watch this. Let's see, it will open.
Gilo, you can stop the screen sharing. You open the video, and then you begin again to share.
Okay. Okay, so Paul.
Have you succeeded?
Yes, I'm back. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that video was I hope everyone got to see that video. It's 6 minutes, but I shortened it for time. Basically, that's actually how it's done. You call place.
We didn't see the video.
Oh, you didn't see the video?
Yeah, we didn't see it. Eh?
Okay, how about now? Let's see.
You can stop
Okay,
sharing
try.
first.
Yeah, just stop sharing then.
Oh, I get you now. And then I choose share.
Right.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes. Add your volume.
Zillow, the volume is still too low and guys can't get it. Please raise it a bit.
The volume? Oh, no sound from the video.
Can it go higher than that? The volume.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presentation. So I hope everyone got to see a brief overview of how to perform a phishing attack via phone call. This is the best and one of the first points of attack that is performed during social engineering. And so you can imagine, as people are at home right now during this COVID pandemic, it is easier to call a person at home and pretend to be a different person, and people won't be able to know who it is, compared to when we're in the office and you can call someone and it's much easier than now. So it's a lot of, there's a lot to look at. So social media, this is the first point of recon that we start with in the social engineering attacks. Basically what happens, social media, they contains a lot of personal data. You post on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere in the internet, someone is going to find your information. You are not far, you're not hidden. Anything can be found. Facebook contains a lot of personal identifiable informations. And also they say Facebook experiences 4 times more phishing attacks than any other social network. This is quite true. You'll find someone with the name John Smith, 20 people sharing that name. You don't know who is who. 10 of them are mostly just phishing accounts, sending you funny links without any idea or information behind it. So we're supposed to be aware of what your contacts and friends are posting about you. Be aware of what you're posting. Always confirm and reconfirm your website settings. This is just some security measures to perform. And remember, once information is on the internet, it is there forever. So you educate your family and colleagues if you can. So this is a process of how social engineering attack is performed. Basically, the attacker builds a profile of you by connecting the dots. So they collect all the information about you from any internet, any online source they can, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then they create a profile about you. So they know everything about you. They create where you live, because now with location settings, let's say you post a picture on Facebook, you can download it, access the metadata of that picture, and you can even get where that picture was taken. This is how far privacy has been breached without us not knowing it. You can find your job, the salary that you do, your reputation, anything. And then the attacker collects that information, that profile, and then he can either impersonate you, he can do a physical break-in, extort, anything that the attacker wants. As long as they find a vulnerability within any of this profile that they collect, they can use it against you. This is why if you're coming into the cybersecurity field, you're very much told or advised that you should make sure that your online presence is not detectable. Otherwise, people will be able to take it and use it against you, especially if you're trying to defend others. So how has COVID played a part in social engineering? So during the pandemic, it took the world by storm. There was nothing there. We were not expecting it completely. Countries were not prepared to deal with such a threat. Economies collapsed, many businesses closed, people lost their jobs. Countries went into financial depression after so many years. It just proved that people run the world and not businesses and corporations. The businesses and corporations, they merely facilitate the business needs, but it's people who actually do all of the work. So what did this lead to? The people went home and they started to work at home. This is where online markets opened up. And so people had to tailor their businesses in order to meet people's needs. For example, I buy my stuff that I need from Gigi. I stopped going to the city now because I'm afraid of COVID. So I just go to Gigi or Jumia and I buy whatever I need. And the good thing with here is you don't have to provide your credit information. So you can order the item here and you can use M-Pesa. That way, your personal identifiable information is not hacked. So the pandemic was also received positively in the hacking community. It was a Christmas to the hackers. Many individuals who are experts in cybersecurity who were at home with their computers. This became the best opportunity to put their skills at work. Some would even say the pandemic was a blessing to the hackers. The ransomware attacks would be my proof to this, that it was Christmas. And so the figures below, I was able to collect, this was showing the amount of accounts that were warned. These figures indicate the number of phishing attacks. This is how much attacks increased. And most of them, actually, they are saying that they were coming from government-backed entities. If you're familiar with China, you would know about Chinese military unit called the PLA Unit 61398. They are famous for hacking. They were caught in America where they hacked Wall Street and many other business organizations, and also the North Korean government, which I will cover later. So after the pandemic started, the accounts phishing, they just became extreme because now people are at home, and just by you being at home, you have lax security, network security settings. You have poor password management. Your operating system is not up to date. Your password can be retrieved compared to when you're at work, where most organizations are using a business server where they have to log into it rather than being at home where you have to use a computer. So at work, you're more, the company is strict, where they ensure that you're following the cyber hygiene requirements. So they make sure whether you like it or not, the computers are updated, password management, changeover is reinforced, and things are just kept at a close check. But once you go home, there's open opportunities for attacks to happen. So this is a social engineering attack process that would typically occur, and I chose this because this is phishing, which is one of the highest methods of performing social engineering attacks, because we have the phone call, we have the email attacks, and we have the physical penetration. The phone call, that one is a skill. Like that video was showing, you need to really have a psychological background where you have confidence in the way you're presenting yourself. And the person, say you can call an organization and pretend to be an IT person. This is how we used to do it. We'd call this company, pretend to be an IT person, and we say your computer just dropped off the network. We need it back on the network. Can you give me your remote ID access? And we'd get them on TeamViewer. And after that, we just ask them to leave the computer, go for a tea break as we fix the computer. And we're just there stealing data from their passwords. We're just there taking documents that are sensitive. And the person has no idea, because the person is not, he doesn't think it's a problem. This person deals with accounts, numbers the whole day. So to him, IT is not really a thing. And email is now the most common. This is now where you cannot do physical penetration, because you can go to a company like the ones I did. I was able to break into the companies, which was a bit hard, but we were able to do it. But there was also some companies that were just a big challenge. You go in and the first thing you see is police. You see guns. We just sit on the seats and we give up already, because there was no way we can break in. You can see this is a fortress. So physical penetration is a hit, it's a miss. It's you either get it or you don't get it. On the phone call, you can either get halfway through until they suspect something is not right about this phone call, and then they hang up. But then now comes to the email. Now the email, they don't know who you are. They don't know where you're coming from. They just see an email. So you can send as many phishing emails as much as you want. And as you can see how it's done, the criminal sets up a infrastructure. They either make a fake domain. I'm sure you've come across this. They make a fake website, and they have a catchy name. You know, they say like a celebrity has just been seen doing this and that, a very catchy title. And then they input malicious code into the messages. They send it to the victim. The victim clicks it, which leads them to the fake domain website. And then boom, they collect victims' credentials, and then they're able to log in. and victims' data is sent to the drop account. So it's a very you have to like send 1,000 phishing emails to probably get like 10. So they're constantly sending a lot, and most of the time they don't get it. But these guys are very, very patient. In fact, in Nigeria, they have the 419. I think it's called the 419 code in the judicial constitution. This is dealing with scammers. There is a police unit dealing basically with scammers, and Nigeria is known as a famous place where there's a lot of people who spend their day sitting on the computer, sending phishing emails and hooking old people to sending them money. So this is, so I was able to get something here, COVID-19 themed phishing attack. I was able to get, this was something that was picked up by the FBI. I have two pictures here. I don't know if it can see it clearly, but on the left, we have a typical malware campaign before the crisis, and on the right, we have a COVID-19 themed campaign. So the thing about these hackers is they are very well up to date. They know what's going on. They know what's trending. So they tailor their attacks to fit the current state of what is happening in the world. So they're very much up to date. So before, you can see there was no COVID-19 information here. There was nothing about the CDC. You pretty much, you wouldn't expect, the left one would be for the pre-COVID, and the right one, you notice that, boom, CDC, this is coming from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, COVID-19. So you are pretty much likely to actually believe it because it seems legitimate. And so you click a link there and boom, they got you before you even can confirm if it's true or not, because you're curious, you know, the curiosity killed the cat. So you're going to click on the link and boom, you've been baited, you've been caught. So this is social engineering attack statistics. This is the FBI reported that the number of attacks that happened, or the complaints that they received, were many as 4,000 a day. That represents a 400% increase from what they saw pre-COVID. A 400% increase. This is, which means that the attackers just knew that people are at home. This is the best opportunity that they could have. WHO also saw a dramatic increase in the number of cyber attacks directed at its staff and email scams targeting the public at large. Some 450 active email addresses and passwords were leaked online, although they say it didn't do anything, but it damaged some of their system. Now, ransomware, this is where I'll be coming into next. Attacks where cyber criminals hold your computer data or network hostage until a ransom has been paid, were noticed to be even more successful during the pandemic than before. The picture on the right here, it's got dates with the amount of attacks that were happening. And you can see as of May 2nd, the FBI, this was last year. Actually, yeah, this was last year. As of May 2nd, the FBI reported an 800% increase in reported cybercrimes. This is just, it was just ridiculous. And this is a time where cybersecurity should have become now, this is when companies realize that cybersecurity is necessary. You can't have an organization and not have cybersecurity in it. Even a company that is not really big in the market will have to get cybersecurity. In fact, I would really urge, if the government of Kenya, I could really urge them to ensure that every organization is checked against the cybersecurity guidelines that are there. So how I got something here. This is how to protect yourself from social engineering attacks. 1, don't give up your private information at all. 2, enable high spam filter for your emails. 3, stay cautious of your passwords. Ensure that you update your password every 60 days or 30 days. Make sure you don't use the same passwords. Make sure you follow the guidelines for making a password. Keep your softwares up to date, your computers, your servers, anything that has network connectivity, even your phones. Make sure that everything is up to date. Pay attention to what you do online. Make sure what you're posting is not personal information. Make sure that you're not going to give anyone any kind of credibility or any information about who you are, where you are. Don't, just make sure you protect yourself and keep vigilant and remain skeptical. So this will mean that anyone who is not in a cybersecurity field is going to be required now to be aware of what is going on in the cyber world. You have to now devote at least 20% of your life into learning what's going on. No more being a nerd or being unaware of what is going on. Now you have to pay attention, because if you don't, you're going to be caught. And when you're caught, bad things are going to happen. And this is where I come into the next one, ransomware. This is what will happen if you don't pay attention to what is going on. If you decide to put your head in the sand, bury your head in the sand. So ransomware, I'm sure, I don't know how many of you have come across this image. Your computer has been locked. This is basically a ransomware. Your account has been locked. You have 72 hours to pay the fine. Otherwise, you'll be arrested. And they tell you where to send this was back in the day. This is actually a very old picture. This is one of the famous. It looks so legit. You think it's FBI, and people actually fell for it. And it's only a fine of $200. That's very little for compared to today. This is very little. So you just pay it to get it over with. This is when it was upcoming and new. So what is ransomware? Ransomware is a serious threat that has the capability to kidnap data. It limits access to files, systems, or even renders systems totally useless. When I was young, when I was very interested in computers, I used to download anything. This was before I even knew anything about ransomware. And one time I remember I got a few folders locked, and I could not understand why they were locked. Luckily, there was nothing sensitive, and we were able to resolve the matter with antivirus. But I remember I never forgot those folders being locked, and I couldn't access them. And I got a message that I needed to pay some money. It was very fascinating. It then forces the victims to pay a ransom to regain access to their files or systems, hence the name ransomware. They started preying on individuals, but now targets even the largest organization. So one of the things that we are taught in information security is the most important thing in an organization is data. Without the data, there is no work. There is no clients, there is no shareholders, there is no offices. Data is what runs the organization. Without that, then you have nothing basically. And if the data is not protected, ransomware is what will happen. This is an effect of that happening. So this is statistics of ransomware before pre-COVID. It is estimated that payments for ransomware in 2016 exceeded $1 billion. $209 million was paid to ransomware criminals in the first quarter of 2016. The average ransom demand in 2016 was $679. 100 new ransomware variants were discovered in 2015, and by 2016, 50 new ransomware families had already been discovered. Even after paying, less than half of ransomware victims recover all their data, even with the backup. So this was discovered that people will pay money, but their data was still not being provided back. So what do? They would leak the data on the darknet. If you go into the darknet, you need to use a Tor browser, and you need to do a bit of security setups and things. In fact, when I was there, I remember I was able to I did a check on Kenyan government, and I remember finding email addresses of workers in Kenya Foreign Affairs. I remember, and that's when I notified someone working there that they were breached, and they were aware of it, but I don't think they knew that the data was actually leaked. So this is ransomware attacks during the COVID-19 period. Since January, HC3 has issued takedown notices for 35,364 malicious COVID-19 websites. Phishing in April, Google reported it blocked 18 million daily malware and phishing emails. CISA and NSCC are seeing a growing use of COVID-19 malicious cyber attempts. Mostly people in the West are the ones who are being affected, where the government is using the COVID-19 approach to communicate with the citizens. So malware one is, on the second part, we can see that the TrickBot is using the COVID-19 financial aid themes, and the Azure root is being spread via malicious COVID-19 case tracking websites. From January to April, Interpol detected about 907,000 spam messages, 737 malware-related incidents, and 48,000 malicious URLs tied to COVID-19. Ransomware, it just doubled. It actually quadrupled the amount that was expected. People didn't expect this amount to happen. So how do I get infected with ransomware? First, it starts with distribution. The standard method is email attachments, e.g. phishing, website compromises. 2 is infection. The malware arrives on your computer and begins to process. 3 is communication. The malware talks to encryption key servers. 4, the servers do a file search. The malware mainly searches for files that are in this format, and then it collects them. And then it encrypts, the malware encrypts your file using an encryption key, and it takes millions of years to decrypt these keys. This is something that was discovered. You need a quantum computer to decrypt them. And then the ransom demands, they demand your files are now locked, and then they demand money. This is that famous message that you will receive on your screen. So how bad is the problem? Malware is constantly changing, and the number of attacks are rising, making it difficult to defend against anything. Ransomware is lucrative and a relatively easy way to make money. In fact, they've made ransomware as a service now. I'm going to speak about it here. It's become service models are being established, allowing any would-be criminal to use a software regardless of their technical knowledge. This also comes under corporate espionage. You can buy malware and send it to another corporate to get them to lock their data, lose their data. You can basically use it for anything. Government entities use it. In fact, in the next slide, I'm going to speak about the famous WannaCry attack that happened in 2017. This was the first ransom pandemic that occurred in the cyber world. This caught the world by storm. I remember hearing computers in Uganda, hospitals were infected, and then the operating systems that they were running was Windows 98. As far as Windows 98, it was just ridiculous that what I came to learn about it. So it's said that this ransomware came from North Korean government, although they never really made it official. Although the last I heard was the Trump government proclaimed that North Korea was behind the WannaCry attack. The WannaCry was a very sophisticated ransomware. The ransomware attack was a worldwide cyber attack in 2017. The attack targeted computers running Microsoft Windows OS and will encrypt data and demand ransom payments in Bitcoin. The attack affected many countries in the world and shut down healthcare services, functions of the government, police, schools, and universities. Famously known in Britain, the NHS, the National Health Service, was shut down because they couldn't be able to access the computers. So people who were sick, people actually died. This is how bad it was because they couldn't get access to their data. So it is reported that the code affected more than 230,000 computers in over 150 countries. And that's just a small number. They're not sure. It said it infected so many computers. Organizations that had not installed latest Windows patches were high targets. It mainly targeted vulnerable exposed SMB ports. That is how it was spreading. And it would spread. So it would come into your computer through a vulnerable SMB port. And in fact, if I was to dig deeper, it will say that this WannaCry was developed by using the Eternal Blue software. This was created by the Five Eyes organization. I don't know if you follow the geopolitics of cybersecurity, but Snowden revealed the tools that were used by countries, the CIA, the FBI, the security intelligence organizations in Britain, all over the world. They were all, the Eternal Blue was actually created by the NSA, the National Security Agency in America. So these people took the code of the Eternal Blue, manipulated it, and created the WannaCry. The good thing was it was a young British man, I think at the age of 22 or 3. He was able to look at the code and he found the decryption key within the code, the source code. And he saved people a lot of money and problems. This is current COVID-19 ransomware that we are currently just experienced the other day. This is a Colonial Pipeline hack. This is the latest one that happened on Friday, May the 7th. They experienced a cyber attack that closed down operations and froze the IT systems. And it was created by a hacker group called the Dark Side. This is a ransomware as a service group. This was the message shown on the infected devices. If you can read this message here below, welcome to Dark Side. This is the message that you'd receive. What happened? They explain everything. Your computers and servers are encrypted. Backups are deleted. We use strong encryption algorithms. So you cannot decrypt your data, but you can restore everything by purchasing a special program from us, Universal Decryptor. This program will restore all your network, follow you in our instruction below, and you will recover all your data. Data leak, these are the files that they were able to gather, accounting data, research and development from Colonial Pipeline. So they say the personal leak page, blah, blah, blah. So to say that DarkSide sells its malware to clients as a service, in return, they request they receive a part of the ransom paid to the clients. Clients typically receive 75 to 90%, while DarkSide keeps the remainder. But as usual, there was another savior who came and was able to, in fact, this is something that DarkSide did. They thanked Bitdefender for identifying a flaw in their ransomware. They also indicated that a new wave of attacks are coming and it will not be able to defend against it. So Bitdefender was able to find the key generation to the ransomware that happened, and they were able to save many organizations. Colonial Pipeline that was got from it, although we do not know how far they were infected or if they paid the money. DarkSide and its affiliates reportedly grossed at least $90 million. That's a lot of money for that. So features of a ransomware, I'll quickly rush through this. Users may encounter these threats through a variety of means. It can be dropped or downloaded onto your machine by malware, compromised websites, and attachment from spammed email, malvertisements, or malicious pages through exploit kits onto vulnerable systems, or even USBs that are just dropped. You pick a USB or anything you connect to your computer and boom, it spreads into it. The features of a ransomware are, they basically, this page you can see here, they tell you that you have to send this money. They have an encryption, they'll give you an decryption key, but most of the time it is known that they will not give you the back your data, access your data. So they sort of have a dark side or a dark element to it. They're not really good guys at all, as much as they get the money, but greed tends to control them and they just end up leaking the data. So how can you protect yourself? By avoid opening unverified or unsolicited emails. Do not click on attachments or links embedded in emails you don't recognize. There was also this ransomware. I remember that if you just put your mouse or your pointer mouse on a link and this link is infected, it can make the ransomware, the malware, download itself into the computer just by putting your pointer on the link. It's that dangerous. Backup important files using the 3-to-1 rule. create copies on 2 different types of media with 1 backup in a separate location. Regularly update software to protect against the latest vulnerabilities, and do not enable macros, although we still haven't found a way to avoid it. So this brings me to my almost finishing end, deliveries for vehicles for ransomware. So the most common way to deliver your ransomware is email link, followed by email attachment, and then websites that you access, to social media, USB sticks, business applications, and then we don't know that one. Email is the #1 delivery vehicle for ransomware, and I think us, since we're in cybersecurity, I think we are all aware of that. So this brings me to my conclusion. I hope I was able to explain everything, and that's the last one is just a glossary to explain the shortened terms there. So as I was covering, social engineering has a lot of ways. I could have talked about spam, phishing in detail, but I chose to focus on ransomware because that is currently trending, and it's what we need to be aware of. Since most people are working from home, we need to now create our own protected network security systems in our homes. We now need to prepare that for ourselves. We have to make sure that our computers are up to date, our routers are also up to date, there's no vulnerabilities. We also have to do security assessments on our home networks just to find them. We have to become proactive because this is what hackers do. They spend most of their time and they just play around while we are mostly working. They're busy preparing and sharpening their tools. So we have a question from Frederick here, and also please anyone can join in. Great insight and presentation. What's your view on use of AI, either 1 to fight phishing attack and 2 attackers to evade detection? From my point of view, I wouldn't support the use of AI because it can still be manipulated. But it is not a bad method to use to fight phishing attacks. Although with AI, I think AI has been developed and it's also a learning program. So I believe that as the further we go in developing its intelligence, then the better we can use it. But we still need the human aspect. We still need to be vigilant, and we still need to educate ourselves. Like the first video was showing people hacking. There is a network hacking and there's a people hacking. If the people are not aware that they need to be secure, they need to ensure that they are following the guidelines and the rules, then the AIs will be doing most of the work, and still they will find a way. Maybe they won't be able to get through AI, but they'll come to the people. The AIs will be doing most of the work, but the people are not aware of what to do. In fact, I've noticed a trend in Nairobi. If you wear a suit and you walk into an organization, people treat you with respect. The first thing they hear is "Hi, sir," and I've noticed I almost accessed places I was not supposed to access just because I was wearing a suit, but I had to hold myself back. If I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, I've noticed that they're more strict on you. They think you don't mean anything. We use authority here. We fear authority. That's how, instead of respecting, we fear authority. And so through fearing authority, you can manipulate anyone very easily. And through that, you find yourself that the security guard who has no idea how to use a cybersecurity application, he can be your first line of defense. He should be your first line of defense, but unfortunately, he is the weakest. They say the people is the weakest link. Or yeah, I've made phone calls to different organizations. I can't name a few. I was just calling to go talk to someone, and they connected me. They didn't even know who I was. They didn't ask me where I'm calling from, what I'm calling about. I just made up something and I got through. I was talking to a person, and it's just strange that, like I said, we fear authority. You can speak with an authoritative voice demanding or you threaten them with their job security, you'll fire you if you don't do this. No, that's the wrong mentality. That is the wrong approach. We need to empower users on the other end. They need to be firm. Even if it's the president of the organization, they have to ensure that they verify who the person is. Second question from Michael Kanyete is, how about the new AI trend deepfake that generates mimicked speeches that can be used to deceive people into revealing sensitive information, especially in the widespread use of video conferences and meetings? Yeah, that's deepfakes. Although deepfakes is used in the political world, that's definitely true. I agree with you. That's a point of vulnerability that attackers can use. But you also have to look at, why are you using it? Where is it being used? What's the purpose? You can make a fake video of a person, but the person will just come out right and say that it was not them. Someone made a deepfake of them. So this, you can use it to lie to a person, yes, but I don't know how far it will go into getting personal identifiable information. Remember, the main thing about social engineering is, and this is something I was taught in my first day, was you're trying to gain access to the networks. You're trying to gain access to personal information, sensitive information. In fact, there was even dumpster diving. We used to go and collect rubbish from the organization, and we would go through it to find anything that is sensitive, any information. Most of what I find deepfake is used against people who mostly have a huge online presence. And it's used in mostly like political arenas. You'd find someone makes a fake title about you as a political person, that you did this and that. So that one mostly is in the political world, but it's still something that we should look at, and it's something that we should be aware of. In fact, I was just watching this video in the USA. A woman was fired from her job because her daughter was a cheerleader, but the friends of that daughter created a deep fake of her mom doing something that was inappropriate. And the daughter came out and said, that was not my mom, that was a deep fake. And the friends came out and proclaimed that it was a deep fake. So yes, deepfake is a threat, but we also have to understand where is it being used, why is it being used, what is the purpose, and how can we protect ourselves. But in the cyber world, I'm not too sure. That's just my opinion. It will change in the future, and I'm sure we all have different opinions. Oh yeah, Ian Mutua. What tools can one use to secure corporate emails against phishing attacks, apart from DKIM, DMARC, and SPF? Well, one, you can put antivirus components on the email servers. So before the emails actually get into the service, they're actually scanned first, and they're determined by what is containing in the email first. And if it's malware, it's kicked out, or it's locked out. Like the Windows application, I've noticed if I try to download an application which is not trusted, I won't be able to open it at all. Like the Windows has locked me. It has actually taken control. I can't open it at all. I have to create a virtual machine and open it there and make sure the security settings are very weak, because it blocks folder access, it blocks the antivirus will block everything just from opening that. So I would first ensure that the antivirus software is the first point that all emails come through, and they make sure that they have been sifted through. And then I would advise for using, the spam filters and make sure that the settings are put to high, that only recognized business emails are accepted, or emails from Google, Yahoo, and not things that are emails from fake emails. It will double check to make sure the email is active. There's so many other tools, but the strongest one I would advise is antivirus. That should be the beginning of the email service. So does anyone else have a question or want to share or want to say anything? I am open. I have put a
Thank you,
lot.
Jila.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add on email protection. There are technologies or softwares that will help the organization to block any unnecessary links and all that from an email, so that a user or a recipient will first of all have to be prompted whether they want to really open that email or open that attachment. So when they click maybe allow, so that is when they open the email, but then the system will have automatically scanned through the email, and therefore just adding an extra layer of protection. Yeah.
Mm. Do you know what those softwares are? What they're called?
Generally, email filters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think of that, email filters. And I've also included, if anyone is interested in this presentation, I can put it on the group. I've put ways to prevent social engineering attacks and also to learn on common. So the reason why I chose social engineering is because it is not yet a trend here in Kenya, but soon it will have to be, because you can just walk into an organization and pretend to be anyone. And it's very easy. We as Kenyans have a very easy way to talk our way out of problems. I guess it's a gift that we have. We can talk our way out of anything. But if you consider the West, like Britain, you can't. In fact, they won't. They will detect it very easily. So we have to change the way we live. We have to change our lifestyle completely if we want to be relevant in the cybersecurity world. But this is going to be a drastic change. I'm not sure how far the change will go, but organizations can train the users to be aware of such things. We don't have to change the whole country. We can change a small number of people. We're dealing with very sensitive data. Yeah. So it's my very interesting topic that I really like. And wherever I go, I find myself, even just over the shoulder when someone is putting a password, that's social engineering attack right there. You can say the password that is being put, you sort of have to become very private. Even certain phone calls, you can listen in, you can drop in and listen to a person having a private information call. You're just collecting data. And we're not aware. They say that the eye picks up 75% of data that we process in the mind. So you can imagine, if you're aware of what you're looking at, you walk into an office and you're aware of what you're looking at, you can collect very sensitive information, and the person is not aware that you're doing it at the background. There's a question. You can also use Mimecast, that enables you to filter emails that come into the organization. Yeah, thank you for that. Would someone have any other question, or would someone like to share? Oh yeah, I've put some very nice resources here, some very nice videos. I don't know if, do we have time to watch another video? Is it okay if we can watch a video? Or is it 8:13, almost 8:15? Yeah, let's just watch. Let's watch. There's a very nice video here I'd like us to watch. 1 second.
God knows if he can speak to a person, he can convince them of a story. While incorrectly guessing on the interaction of these responses, he is able to find out additional details. Todd now has a rep from the credit card company. He's asked to verify the account. Using just name and zip code is verified. The rep thinks they are speaking with the victim. Changes, he is asking for the victim's phone. Todd confirms the victim's correct. Todd updates the victim's account with his own phone. Todd recites the confirmation back to her. Just like that, Todd's number is now the number on the victim's account. Rep shares the victim's. Todd has now successfully changed the phone number that's on the victim's account. Rep is as a result, the victim is now locked down. What's so? Yes.
Okay, so that is my end of presentation. And I will post the videos links here on the group.
Thank you.